What's up, everybody? Good to see you again. I hope you can hear me all right. It is nice to be back alive. It's been a little bit. It's been a little bit since I've done an AMA, and it's been a little bit since I posted anything. But I found a little bit of time on this nice Friday night, and I'm glad to spend some of it with you all. I hope you guys are all well. Today's stream is a pretty relaxed one. Pretty relaxed, pretty casual. It's just an AMA. So you guys are gonna drive the conversation, and we're just gonna chat for a bit. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Awesome. So let's start with saying hi to everybody who's here. Crypto Orange, hey, what's up, man? Number one guy. I would say number one moon ganger, but this is not the moon gang show. All right, HexOG, yo, stealing my chat line. Alien Hexakin. Okay. I was waiting on you, my brother. Battery 79. Yep, it is sloth time. 5 minutes late. That's sloth time. Godfather J6. What's up, buddy? Yes, Hex Enthusiast. Shoo! I think DCC is going live in like 2 hours or something like that. So make sure you catch that out. Catch him too. Franklin, what's up, buddy? I see you around all the time. Glad to have you on my chat. Too negative. What's up? It says elbow cough on here, but I'm pretty sure that's a dab on on the live chat. Let's see. Crypto Cat Doge. What up? Hex Enthusiast. Okay, poly or hold. We'll talk about that one first. Piers, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. I hope you're well. I know you've been busy, so I hope you're able to find some rest. It's your boy Bullish. What's up, buddy? Dimension X, Crypto Wash, and Crypto Street. All right. We're through to the chat. Let's see if anybody else is here. Yep. What's up, Hosen? Okay, so yeah, let's start this one. So just guys, start throwing your questions in the chat, and I'm gonna star them. And so what I'll do is I'll go through the chat. I'll keep the live chat up, and I'll star questions that I see that I'll answer, and then as I get a couple starred ones lined up, I'll go and just answer those, and then I'll come back and pick out some more questions. All right, so let's start with Hex Enthusiast, poly or hold. Okay, so yeah, poly I think is launching soon. I might be overlapping the launch stream for them, but poly or hold. So my take on poly is I think it is best suited for the small Hedron holder. I think I generally, yes, too negative. I am a fan of poly. I know there's been some slight controversy around it in terms of them like siphoning off HSIs for it not to be recycled, and then like you're removing like HSIs in the like liquidation auction is the engine that keeps the system vitalized, and so people are worried about poly taking too much value outside of the system, siphoning it off, and then not allowing it to kind of continuously move through the system. Now, there are some trade-offs that are made for it to do that still benefit everybody, but we can get into that later. But for this specific question, poly or hold, I think that what's what I'm looking for? I think it's best suited for the small holders who don't really want to be active participants in the liquidation auctions, but want exposure to some of the HSIs that are going to be on the auction. And so it's like you give up Hedron, you get poly, and then that poly token will entitle you to more Hedron in the future, will entitle you to Hex from the HSI principal as well as the yield, and it'll entitle you to Icosa because some of that Hedron will be staked. The reason why I recommend it for smaller people, or if you're a bigger player, only a smaller percentage of your bag, is because you are giving up your Hedron for that. So you are giving up the ability to bid on HSIs. You're giving up any price appreciation on Hedron. You're giving up the ability to stake that Hedron natively. So you're giving up a lot for poly, which you can't do because you can't do those things with because it's a derivative token. And so because of that, generally, if people are like, hey, how much should I put in? I would say not a very large percentage of your bag if you want exposure to it. It is an interesting concept, but, I'm going to participate a little bit, but not anything with any significant amount of my personal Hedron bag. And in fact, I'm really not planning to participate in the auctions all that much unless I see a crazy deal on the table. So yeah, poly or hold. I would say mostly hold, and then mint some poly in the proportion by which you want to participate. Some people are like, all my Hedron, dumping it into poly, and like, hey, that's fine. Some people are like 50%, and like that's cool. For me, I'm saying more like 1 to 5%. That's where my head's at with poly. But I think overall, it's generally a value add to the system. It's a fun little side bet. That's how I'm personally treating it, a side bet. And it is locking up a bunch of Hedron or whatever. Maybe not a bunch. We'll have to see how much is actually given to the pool. But whatever's given to the pool will be locked up for like the 15 years because they're not going to be ending that stake until all of the HSIs are completed. So yeah, DYOR, I think there's going to be several days of minting, and there's no bonding curve for minting. So like, take your time to mint and watch all the streams that Dip Capture and Gold Key have. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out over time. Actually, let me pull up. Blue Bomb had a pretty good tweet thread on Poly, and the way it would add value to how he feels, it adds value to Hedron overall. I'll post that in the chat so you guys can read that. I'm sure we'll talk more about poly as well in the future, but we'll end that for now. Let's see. All right, let's pick up some more chats. Oh yeah, also Bullish, I hope you're feeling well, man. I know you've been a little bit sick and struggling there for a bit, so I hope that you're feeling better and starting to get some energy back into you. Let's see, better. Poly is bullish. Yeah, I agree. Poly is bullish, especially if a bunch of Hedron gets thrown into there, then that's really protective of the Hedron price, which is pretty nice. Let's see. There's some other questions in here. Let's see. My only thing is that in the future for poly means 15. Yeah, exactly. So just like with Maxi and to a degree the perpetuals, it is a 15-year hold. So it's like the coins you're giving up for poly, don't expect to be able to redeem that underlying value until 15 years from now. So that's yeah. Oh yeah, and this I appreciate from peers. If you just hashtag a question before, it'll be easier for me to spot as I'm scrolling through quickly. Yeah, I'm into buying Hedron for the Billy. Question is when after auction. My recommendation for if you have a specific goal for like a number of coins you want to hit, especially for like a long-term hold, just DCA no matter what the price is. Try not to time the market as much. Just slowly work towards your goals until you reach that point. And then after that, that's when you can start deploying new capital in a, I don't say more efficient manner, but in a more precise manner to try to catch dips. Yes, poly stakes Hedron as well. Yeah, so I think if I remember correctly, you can allocate what percentage of your Hedron you want to be for the HSI auctions and what percent you want to be for the bidding. And then whatever's left after the bidding is just automatically staked. And I think they're going to have a function where they're going to mint Hedron from the stakes and then put it in the Hedron stakes. Also, Gold Key. How long is the poly contract minting bidding like live? Like how many days can the executor bid on HSI stakes? That's something I don't remember off the top of my head. All right, any more questions? All right. So let's see. Can you give us a prediction on how far? I don't like price predictions like that. Yeah, I'm not a chart guy, and I'm not really an on-chain guy. So like my skill set is more geared towards fundamentals and understanding the long-term implications of the game mechanics behind a certain token, as well as how those mechanics interact with other protocols. So like my long-term vision of Hedron is bullish, but like I really don't have any idea how well the token price is going to do in the next, say, 3 months. I would love to see it go higher, and my personal opinion is I think it will probably be higher. But if it goes like always a 50% downside risk in crypto, no matter when you're buying. And then at the same time, Hedron has had an incredible run up. Like, let's pull up the chart. I'll share my screen. All right, let's clean this up a little bit. We'll go ahead and delete some of these lines. So we can just zoom out really far, and then we'll go to the daily. Oof, that's okay. There we go. So let's really zoom out. All right, and we'll delete these two. Okay, so like if we look at where Hedron's at relative to its price, from the bottom to the top, we're currently at a 20x in 140 days, which is pretty impressive, if I do say so myself. And so like when you're on a 20% up from the bottom, like there is always the chance that something breaks. Like I'm not a TA guy, but like, if you just draw some lines here, like a line there, and then you can even do like a line there, we're coming up to like we're consolidating right now, and it could break up or down. Like, you can interpret this as a bull flag. You can interpret this as like, we're maybe triple topping here and going down. Like, I'm not a TA guy. Like I don't really have confidence in these kind of things as much. And so I don't feel comfortable giving a solid price prediction. I'm pretty happy on what the chart's looking like right now, personally. And I feel comfortable holding Hedron into Q4 and into Q1. So those are my thoughts. Dipcatcher has made a dApp to Mint Poly. I think it's going to be live in like 15 minutes. All right, let's see. Other questions. All right. I got 2K. Buy Icosa if it dips, or buy Hedron in case it's yeah, man. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you what to buy. I'm just going to go through the pros and cons of buying both, and then you'll be able to decide what you think is best, because capital allocation is an extremely personal thing that I can't really tell you what to do. In my consults, I am able to help guide people, and I do that by asking questions and figuring out what their goals are. And then like when you figure out what your goals are, then it's much easier for you to figure out where you should be or how you should be allocating your capital. But in just like an AMA like this, it's obviously difficult to do that. So buying Icosa or buying Hedron. Now, both of these tokens have an advantage in buying them coming up through their staking mechanism, because so much Hedron is about to be burned in the future. So because of all of that burn, we are going to get a lot of extra Icosa yield, and any HSIs recycled are going to give Hedron yield for the Icosa pool. Now, when you look at how much of each of the tokens, or how much economic energy you need to put into one of these tokens to get a certain percentage of the supply of the supply of the pool, and let me pull up the app.icosa really quickly and see if I can get some quick numbers on this. Icosa, let's see. Oh yeah, you have to connect a wallet. Let me see if I can connect a dummy wallet really quickly, so we can run through the numbers live. Let's go here. So I usually like to have a dummy wallet up all the time. That's not doing anything. Sorry, guys. There we go. So then let's go to Icosa, and then we'll connect wallet, MetaMask, and go to Icosa staking. We'll make sure it's on the right one before I don't want to. There we go. Okay. Okay, so here's the Icosa site, and let's see if we put in $1,000 into each pool. Let's put $1,000 into each. 1, 2, 3. So that's 250 million for Hedron, and that gets us. We create a new Hedron stake. That gets us 1 trillion points. So 1 trillion points, and there is 110,000 trillion points. So 1 divided by 0.162 equals that times 100. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 9% of the whole entire pool. Now, if we put that into Icosa, put that same $1,000 into Icosa, 1, 1, 2, 3, we get 689 Icosa, which gives us 689, 2.75 million points, and there are 75.3 billion points. So let's see, 25 million divided by 75 billion. Oh, I'll just do it. 25, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 25 million divided by 75 times. So that'll give you, I believe, 0.0003% of the entire pool, if I'm not mistaken. So if that quick math was correct, then you are going to get more of the pool ownership for staking $1,000 of Icosa versus staking $1,000 of Hedron. And so just by that math alone, if your plan was to stake with that, well, you got 2K, so just double that. But if that was your intention to stake whatever it was to capture the Hedron yield, then it would be better to do the Icosa pool. Now, buy Icosa if it dips or buy Hedron just in case it hits its ceiling price. So if you're speculating that Hedron is going to hit its ceiling price, then it's going to make more sense to buy Hedron because that has, and we can go to my calculator for this, Hedron ceiling calculator. So the T-share rate is about 25,000. Hex price is 4.2 cents. 4.2 cents. And the current Hedron price is about 39. All right, so yeah, that's about a 16x from now. So if you believe that Hedron's going to the ceiling price, then it makes more sense to buy the Hedron than Icosa. An important thing to consider with the Icosa is that a large amount of Icosa supply might be coming out from people recycling the auctions that they give you. That they win from the auctions. And so a large amount of Icosa supply may be coming out, which may dip the price in the immediate future. So keep that in mind as well. So Icosa could dip, Hedron could prompt. Hedron could also dump because of like buy the rumor, sell the news. But you know, those are some different things to consider. I know that was a long way to answer your question without answering it, but I can't really help you specifically. All right. Let's see. Yep. All right. Right. More questions. Is it still okay not to do anything? Yes, absolutely. So like this is kind of the strategy that I'm looking for. I'm mostly participating in. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to capitalize on other people burning their Hedron and extracting as much of the yield as possible, because the amount of yield we're getting, especially day one of the auctions and like even a couple days afterwards, is substantially higher than most of the days coming afterwards. So it's kind of like a big payday event where it's like, this is a chance to get a lot of yield. And if you want this yield, you need to be staked that day. And so because of that, I want my relative position in Hedron to go up. So I'm going to stay staked without burning my tokens. And I'm going to be staking Icosa because I can get a pretty decent sized position in that pool. So yeah, doing nothing is a perfectly viable strategy. Yes, Icosa and Hedron is a booster for Hex because ultimately the way the system works is by locking Hex up for 15 years, making it more scarce. And by making it more scarce, it makes it easier for the price to go up. All right, what's next? Oh yeah, I've heard of Star Atlas. I believe it's a crypto game on Solana. They're probably one of the main competitors to Illuvium, but though I'm more of an Illuvium fan personally. All right. Okay, here's a question. Is there any disadvantage to unstake Hedron than stake Icosa generated by staking Hedron and then restaking Hedron again? Let me read that. No, actually, that would be a pretty good strategy. So if you have a stake coming out on November 13th, before the day ticks over where the yield is distributed to everybody. So like the yield isn't distributed until the end of the 24 hours after the auction started when the Hedron is officially burned. And so because of that, you can unstake a Hedron stake, take that Icosa, stake it, and then capture that extra yield and restake your Hedron if you want that first day and still capture all the yield from the Hedron being burned from that day. Especially if you consider the fact that most of these HSIs probably won't go completely sell out day one. It might take 2 to 3 days, maybe even a week to get like the 2,000 HSIs that are coming out on day one completely get those auctions done with. You have some time for that as well. So yeah, but the disadvantage to doing that is that you're diluting the amount of points you have in the pool. So whenever you stake Hedron or Icosa, your points that are essentially the unit of account for the inflation are divided by the key share rate every time you make a stake. So if you unstake, you're losing an old T-share rate that calculated your points, and your points are calculated via a new T-share rate with the amount of coins you're restaking in that Hedron stake. So what you need to do is see if the amount of points that you're going to get by restaking that Icosa is going to outpace the dilution that you're going to experience when you restake that Hedron. If it's more than your net positive points, which is what you want anyways. All right. Base team Maxi, I'm not sure on Poly. Can we just reiterate this? Yeah. So Poly is essentially a pooling protocol where you exchange one Hedron for one Poly. That Hedron is used to bid on HSIs as well as staked through the Icosa contract. And then at the end of all of the HSI stakes, each Poly is entitled to an equal amount of the Hex, Icosa, and Hedron that is generated from all that years over the 15 years. Let's see. It should break 60. Hey, that'd be awesome. I wouldn't be upset about that. All right, let's see. Not too stressed about it at this point if crypto goes. Yep, that's unsuitable has a great point. So you want to position yourself in a way where if prices go down 50%, you're not sweating, you're not upset, or you're not wondering if you're going to be able to pay your bills, your rent, support yourself, or even complete other financial goals that you have. And so you want to put yourself in a position where you're not emotionally tied to the price, so that when the price does go up, you can ball out without having to worry the whole way through, or having to sell out because you over leveraged yourself or you overexposed yourself, and now you couldn't take advantage of price up because the price down washed you out. All right, Thon Nguyen. Hello, will Icosa's staking yield go higher or lower in the future? So it's going to fluctuate. So the yield will probably be the highest from day one, because that's when the most amount of T-shares are being released. And actually, let's pull up Hex Model. So this is a great site from Dev Huey that he created that I like a lot. And it basically maps out all that data. I'll put it in the chat too. Let's show you this. Okay. So this is basically all of the T-shares that are going to be coming out on the liquidation auction over time. Now, if you notice this first day, let's just go to 100. Sorry, guys. 100. Bugging out on me. So if you just notice this first day right here, it will just refresh. Wait. Yeah, it'll just refresh. But you'll notice on the first day, there is just a substantially more amount of T-shares coming out. Now, because the yield in Icosa is determined by the amount of Hedron burned, the more T-shares in the auction will necessitate more Hedron being burned if all of them are liquidated. And so this day is going to be the most amount of yield. And then if the bar is higher, it's more yield. If the bar is lower, it's less yield, theoretically, just based on the number of T-shares that they're in. So if we just take this first day off, just so we can look at everything else in scale, you see that it fluctuates. So like the yield goes down for a bit, but then it's going to go up, down, and it just fluctuates over time. And it's all depending on how many T-shares are in the liquidation auction. So this is a good site to see if you can want to predict like, oh, hey, the yield is probably going to be higher or lower tomorrow. Where it's like, if you planned on ending a stake, like say you planned it like your stake ended right in this like blank area right here, but you knew the next day was a big stake. Well, maybe you just wait an extra day before you cash out because you know you're going to capture a decent amount of more yield. So yeah, this is a great site, and I posted it in the chat. All right. Yeah, this is a good point. Don't overlook buying Hex for $2,000. Like we're still at a pretty solid low. Like if we look at the chart, look on the daily, like Hex is still down a decent amount, and it's on a little dip. If you believe it's going to go up, this is a decent time to get into Hex. And 2,000 Hex gets you. Whoops, that's the invert error button. $2,000 gets you 47,000 Hex. That's pretty solid. All right. Okay, unsuitable question. Is it staking Icosa or Hedron to benefit from the auction reward? So both. Both of them receive Icosa yield. So here's how it's calculated. Each, well, let me go back a second. So the amount of Icosa that's distributed is determined by a function, a formula, and that formula is the daily burnt Hedron, so the Hedron burnt the previous day, divided by the T-share rate. Now let's just say hypothetically that formula for yesterday equaled to 1,000. So the Hedron burn from yesterday divided by the T-share rate, that number is 1,000. The Icosa pool, the Hedron pool, and the Whatsa pool, all of three of them will get 1,000 Icosa distributed evenly to each point that exists. So it'll be distributed equitably amongst all of the stakers. So if I had, let's say me and you were in the pool, and I had 2 points, and you had 2 points, we would each get, so we both had, I had 2 points, you had 2 points in the Icosa pool, we both get 500. But now say I had 3 points and you had 1 point in the Hedron pool, I would get 750, you would get 250. That's kind of how it works. Also, great point. Whatsa pools? Whatsa pools can't get diluted. People can be adding Hedron and adding Icosa to their stakes to prepare for this big Whatsa, this big liquidation event with just a ton of yield, but nobody can get more Whatsas. That's set. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen when all of these Whatsas get just a gigantic burst of yield and people, maybe express some lettuce hands and they start to burn them, which just bumps up your yield, which maybe gets other people to burn them, which bumps up your yield. If we look on OpenSea, we already see these things going for like 3 to 4x the minting price. Like I saw somebody sell 100-point Whatsa, and 100-point Whatsa is like pennies for like $18. That's ridiculous. Not even a penny. 1 million points was $1. So like, I'm gonna do that math. 100 divided by a million times, yeah, that's a 100th of a penny. 100th of a penny went for $18. I don't know who was buying those, but that's a little crazy. But yes, I am expecting a move in the Whatsa NFTs. Maybe not up until the auctions, but once the auctions happen, once the yield hits each of the NFTs, then yeah, I expect it. All right. Yep, that's my plan. Do nothing unless Alex bids support on the force. Bullish is all degen on ETH Fair and ETH Proof of Work, if you know what he's been doing in the background. Long term, yes, I am still bullish long term on DeFi Kingdoms. I've pretty much exited that position outside of my lock jewel and my lock crystal. I moved it all into Hedron closer towards the bottom because I figured there was a better opportunity. I don't really plan on getting back into it too much anytime recently. So I haven't been paying attention to it as much, but they're still building, they're still working, which in crypto, it's a game of attrition. And so as long as you're surviving until the next bull market comes back, it'll probably come back. Yeah, so I talked about this a decent amount at the very beginning, but I do think it's worth participating in if you want exposure to the HSIs without having to worry about bidding yourself. I personally only recommend a small percent, but it's a personal decision you're going to have to make. But I do think it's a viable option to consider, yes. All right. Do you know if it's possible to bid via the contract function? I personally don't know, but if I had to take a guess, probably. I can't. I wouldn't see. I couldn't see why not. They're all public functions. They're all on the blockchain. So, yeah, probably. Yes, this is the hexmodel.com. Yes, everybody. Thank you, Piers. Don't forget to smash the like button. Subscribe if you're not, etc. Follow me on Twitter. Yada yada. Social media stuff. What's up, Carlos? Good to see you, man. Thank you, Orange. I appreciate it. Amish Kid, good to see you. I hope you're well. Yes, great work, Dev Huey. I appreciate that, Piers. All right. Okay, so we are at the bottom of the chat. Keep throwing in questions if you have them. We've been going for a solid 30 minutes. I've been having a great time. Hopefully we can get through more stuff, more questions. Let's go salad fingers. Here we go. Okay, so if you're trying to buy HSIs, pumping hex is counterintuitive, unless you are intentionally trying to keep the competitive subdued. These are rail games. Yes, so that's a good thing to bring up. So what states of the ecosystem, what's the word I'm looking for? What states of the ecosystem would facilitate greater burning of Hedron? And that is essentially hex being greater in price or going up in price relative to Hedron. So that can happen by pumping the hex price or dumping the Hedron price. Doing either one of those things will facilitate more Hedron being burned. So like if you wanted to assume that there was some actor who was trying to get the most Hedron burned, they could do it if they're large enough of a player by pumping the hex price, or they could do it by dumping the Hedron price. And so yeah. So like if they're like, hey, let me try to get HSIs as cheap as possible, they probably wouldn't be pumping the hex price because they're burning more of their Hedron. They would probably want to pump their Hedron so they can get those prices cheaper. I'm personally skeptical of the whale games kind of perspective. I don't really think people are. I wonder how many people who are super hyper aware of the inner workings of Icosa and Hedron who have enough economic energy to move the hex price that significantly are playing these kind of games. Like I wonder how many how many people actually meet both of those criteria. How many people know a lot about this, want to participate, and are going to have enough economic energy to manipulate the hex price. More people have the economic energy to manipulate the Hedron price to the downside and the upside because it's a lower liquidity asset. But what am I looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? But I don't see that as as not plausible but probable. It just doesn't make sense to me. I could be wrong. I have no evidence either way, but it is possible. Crypto Wash. Ariel, how much Icosa do you think will be paid out to the pools on November 13th? Well, let's take a look at this calculator that I have. Here it is. Boom. And then let's zoom in a little bit. And so, by the way, you can find all of these calculators in the description box of the video below, and they're all public. All you have to do is just when you open it up, go to File, make a copy, or download, and then download as a Microsoft Excel, and then you can customize it however you want. So let's see. So let's go to Hex Model. And so if we look on day one, let's undo all this. Day one, we see that there is about 24,000 T-shares on the liquidation auction. So let's see. T-shares in liquidation. 24, 1, 2, 3. Current Hedron price. Yep, 3938. 38. Current Hex Run T-share. T-share rate is 25,003. Hex price is 0.41. And hey, it's nice to see Hex about 3 cents. You know, it's been chilling there for a while, so it's nice to see it go up. Okay, so yeah, the Hedron supply is about 110 trillion. Okay, so with all of this, the minimum amount of Hedron that will be burned is 133 billion, which is a shark position and 33 dolphin positions gone like that. At minimum, if all the just to start the auctions, that's how much will be burned. And so that means that the minimum Icosa that would be generated is 553,216 per pool. And so if we wanted just quickly to see, okay, if you have a, let's see, it's whale, dolphin, shark, whale, shark, dolphin. Let's say you have a squid position, stake in the Icosa in any of the pools, which is 0.001%, then you would be getting 533 Icosa base as a dolphin, as a squid, based for day one. Yeah. So those are the numbers. And at most, if the Hedron price, if the price of Hedron isn't at the ceiling price, but people buy up the Hedron to match the price of the stakes. Sorry, is that the best way to say it? Basically, the difference between where Hedron is at to its ceiling, if you multiply that by the minimum amount of Hedron burned, that's the most amount of Hedron that could be burned given these prices, and that's 2 trillion, and that would be 8.3 million Icosa generated, which for a dolphin squid position would get you 8,000 Icosa. So there are those numbers, and that's kind of a little tutorial on how to use this calculator too. Okay, I think that gets to it. Where's the question? Okay, let's see. May stake most of the Hedron, if not whole. I doubt the lockup period would be very. Yeah, most people have 90-day lockup periods, which isn't too bad. Because I believe anything over 10 billion, maybe like 11 billion and up, that's what gets you to 180 days. But like 1 billion to 11 billion gets you 90 days. And not a lot of people have more than 10 billion Hedron. So, duh. Yeah. Okay. Does anyone think? Yeah. So actually, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a premium because you're getting exposure. So the interesting thing about maxing the perpetuals is that you're putting in one hex and you're pretty much mostly just receiving hex back, a multiple of that hex based on the yield generated from the stake. What's interesting about poly is that you're putting in one Hedron, but you're getting back hex, Icosa, and Hedron. And so it's easy to denominate the value of maxing the perpetuals in hex. It's not as easy to value it's not as easy to value poly in terms of Hedron because it's not as one for one, or it's not as like for like. Now, I was thinking about this recently, and I think what the premium of poly will tell us is the market value of the redeemability, that the native redeemability of Hedron. So it's like poly is only getting all of this yield because of the things that Hedron can unlock. Staking it for Icosa, obtaining HSIs off the liquidation auction, which also generates you Hedron. And so because of the size of poly, the potential size of poly, I don't know how big it's going to be, but because it's going to have at least enough Hedron to both get HSIs and stake Hedron, the total value of Hedron is going to be encapsulated within these poly tokens. So we can kind of see poly as a proxy for the underlying value or the fundamental value of Hedron, because poly is an abstraction of a wallet that is utilizing all of the functions that Hedron unlocks. So watching that premium and or discount on the market is going to be really interesting to watch. Now, the wild card that isn't going to allow it to be one for one, for say, if we could measure an objective value of the underlying redeemability value of Hedron, like a number form, we could quantify that for sure. The time factor of poly, in that the redeemability of the stuff is delayed 15 years versus liquid Hedron is redeemable today. That 15-year dilutes our ability to interpret that premium, but it's the only metric that I think it's the only metric that we have that's as direct of a comparison. Yeah. Guys, can we talk about poly more? I'm a fan of the team, but I don't understand it like I should. Oh man. Yeah, we've actually, I think like 60% of this has been about poly, so I'm sure we'll keep going. Let's see. 90-day Hedron stakers will be able to mint poly. It's confirmed. It will be interesting to see how many. Yep, that would be interesting to see. All right. Could Hedron reach the ceiling price? I don't think so. We're at like a 15, 16x from there. That seems pretty unlikely, honestly. It'd be crazy if we did, because, well, so one interesting thing about the liquidation auctions is it's the very first time that we're going to see with substantial volume Hedron being directly redeemable for T-shares. So in a way, a pseudo liquidity pool is being created between Hedron and T-shares. And this is the first time that that's ever happened. So that could really not mess up, but that really changes the market dynamics of a Hedron USDC pair, Hedron Hex pair, all of the typical liquidity pairs. Now pairing Hedron with the T-share directly with significant volume does change that context where we can't completely count it out, but I would say it's improbable, and I wouldn't be making significant financial decisions based on the assumption that it's going to reach the ceiling price. Poly is just another reason why staking Icosa is better versus staking Hedron. Hedron staking is going to get diluted even more per dollar you put in. Yeah, that is true to a degree. The Hedron pool is much more competitive because the ability to get Hedron can be described as easier than getting Icosa. Like you have to give up a hex stake to do it. To get the hex stake, you have to buy hex off the market or you have to burn your Hedron. Your ability to get diluted in the Icosa pool is easier, though, because if somebody wants to come in with a lot of volume, they can dilute the Icosa pool pretty significantly. But when they do that, they're vitalizing the system. But yes, Hedron staking IC is just icing on top of all of the value propositions that we have for Hedron. So anything that we can get is good. But yes, Icosa staking does seem to be generate more yield. For the reasons that you're explaining, the Amish kid and some others too. Pierce, selfish, underexposed. Surely Hedron will dupe because you want to scoop some up, right? Yeah, surely it's got to dump sometime. You get to have big ups, you got to have big downs. So yeah, hit me up when you figure that out, Bullish. That's hard to say. I would just be exposed to both, honestly. Like I don't feel comfortable going more heavy into one versus the other. I like to get exposure to everything. As I like to get exposure to things where if this is the thought experiment I like to run. If the price were to moon from here, would I be happy with the bags that I have? If the answer is yes, then I continuously look for one of my positions in my portfolio where that may not be true. Once that condition is met for all of my positions, then I start to reassess my portfolio and think, okay, where do I think the most gains may happen? As well as, are there any other goals that I want to set in terms of coin numbers and or the number of T-shares that I have where I should allocate new capital to? Now, to answer your question more directly, Icosa more directly tracks the price of Hex. Hedron kind of does its own thing. So because of the way the coins were distributed, Hedron was given to you upfront, 2 years worth of it. Icosa, you had to do something to get it. So because of that, Icosa hit its ceiling quicker. It's been equilibrated at its ceiling at an easier rate. It was able to reach its ceiling and maintain it easier than Hedron because of that supply. Situation. And then Hedron is not reaching its ceiling because so much of it was given out up front. So Hedron has more X's till it hits its ceiling, but Icosa theoretically will move proportionally to Hex. Now, Hedron can also move proportionally to Hex too, but there is some leeway in X's that it could move relative to Hex until it hits the ceiling price. So, ultimately, having exposure to both is kind of the same thing. It's just small nuances Yeah. Okay. What's else? Yeah. So do you think Icosa dump hard? I think it's possible that Icosa goes down significantly, for sure. I mean, people will win these HSIs, and then if they recycle them, okay, let's pull this up. So there are 3 deals that I see, 3 deals to look at for people to potentially get on these auctions. First, do they get the HSI for less than what the mintable Icosa is for? Do they get that HSI for less than what it would cost to make the stake if you bought Hex off the market? And do they get the stake for less than the cost of the stake plus its yield plus its mintable Hedron? Excuse me 1 second. Okay, so let's take a look at this first case. If the winning bid is less than the mintable Icosa, if this is the case, then people will be able to sell the Icosa on the market for more than what they put in, so they would be able to immediately profit. If a lot of HSIs go for this rate, under this rate of the mintable Icosa, then I do see Icosa going down in price because people will be selling it. Now, will the demand be there to meet that sell pressure? Only time will tell. If you're looking to accumulate a larger bag of Icosa, that could be the time to do it because you can get Icosa cheaper off the market than if you did the HSI buyback mechanism. So if you're looking to obtain Icosa and people are selling it off, that's the time to buy it. So that's where the demand would come from. People wanting to accumulate the token, presumably to stake it and or provide liquidity for it. There's actually some interesting things you can do buying Icosa under the ceiling price. Anyways, now let's look at the second case. The bid is less than the stake cost. So if Icosa is at its ceiling price, that means that the amount of Icosa that you can, the dollar value of the Icosa is equal to the dollar value it is to make the stake today. If the Icosa goes under the ceiling price, then that means the cost to make the stake is now more than the cost, the amount of Icosa that you can mint from it. So if people are winning that, these HSIs in between this range, like it's more, it costs them more than the Icosa they could get out, but it costs them less than the stake cost. At that point, I don't see people selling their Icosa to sell on the market because they would be at a loss at that point. What could happen at that point is they would go on, say, like Hex Marketplace, OpenSea, X2Y2, NFTX, whatever NFT marketplace there is, try to sell it. Say they got it, say Icosa took a 50% dump, so it's 50% the price to make a stake. They got it at 60% of the cost, so selling it for Icosa doesn't make sense, but maybe they still want to profit. Maybe they'll go on the market and try to sell it for like 80% of the cost of the stake to try to make up that difference. So like, say the stake cost is $1,000. It costs $1,000 to buy Hex off the market, 555 it to get that same stake. But the Icosa redeemable is $500. Maybe they obtain it for $600 off the liquidation auction, put it up on OpenSea for $800. That's the kind of situation you could be seeing with the second one. But that's not going to lead to as much Icosa dumping because they're just putting it on the secondary market to see if they can profit from it. And then this case is just a worse deal than this case. So the same things that I just outlined apply to this case too. So if you look at the three cases of the three scenarios where you could get a good deal on these HSIs, only one of them leads to a dump in the Icosa price. So what that means is as the Icosa price goes down, 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 and down, the ability to get the stake for less than that Icosa dollar value also is decreasing. Like the probability of doing it decreases as the price of Icosa goes down. So at some point, it's probably going to equilibrate where people are like, I don't care about getting a deal on the Icosa. I want a deal on how much the stake costs. I want to get the stake for cheaper than what I can buy Hex on today. That's going to move the sell pressure off of Icosa, and then hopefully bring it back up because people are like, whoa, cheap Icosa. Let's buy it off the market, stake it up, buy pressure, locked away, deferred sell pressure. Yeah, Rick, I hope that answered your question. All right. Phomophobia. If I'm just holding my Hedron, is that stupid? No, that is not stupid at all. Now, I would say if you're long-term holding your Hedron and you don't plan to participate in the auctions, just go ahead and stake it. or at least, well, yeah, if it's a long-term hold, you don't plan on selling it, and you're not planning on participating in the liquidation auctions, just stake it, earn some Icosa yield. You might as well. And then when that time is up, take the Icosa, stake the Icosa. Now you're earning Hedron and Icosa. If you want to take profits on some of it, hold that liquid. But no, that's not stupid at all. Ceiling equals parity and gains with Hex. Not necessarily. Ceiling means that if the price were ever to go higher to that point, higher than that price that we're defining as the ceiling price, then you could arbitrage it down. So let's go over that really quickly. But first, hey, Rick, thank you for that super chat, man. I really appreciate it. That means a lot. I hope I answered your question sufficiently. All right. So let's let me think. How do I want to describe this? Okay, let's pull up the calculator. Okay, so this is the Hedron ceiling price calculator, and so let's just remove some of these, bring them down, and then let's just look at one because we only need to look at one. So the hex price. This is all the pretty much the current rates right now, and so the current Hedron price, T-share rate, hex price. And then this right here is really, this is the ceiling price right here. That's just the, okay. So actually so this is the ceiling price. I want to have both up because it's going to be good for the explanation. Okay. So when calculating out the ceiling price, we're using the B shares divided by 5555. Now, the reason why we're doing that is because that is the cheapest way to get Hedron by going through the staking hex mechanism. So you stake hex, you mint Hedron. That's one way to denominate the value of Hedron. Now, the price, if we look at it, based on the current T-share rate and the hex price, it's 4 zeros and a 6, and we're currently at 5 zeros and a 3. So we're 16x away from that current price. Now, what happens if the price of Hedron goes above this 4 zeros and a 6? What that means is if it only costs you this amount of dollars to get one Hedron, but you could sell it for more than what it costs you to go on the market, buy hex, stake it 5555, obtain that Hedron. So effectively, you could put in $1,000 into hex, stake it, advance all of that Hedron, and theoretically get $1,200 or any number higher than $1,000 just from taking it in advance and minting that Hedron and selling it on the market. And so what that does is that gives incentive to people to buy hex, stake it, and take an advance on all of that Hedron and then sell it on the market. And when you introduce sell pressure, the price goes down. So say this right here is the ceiling price. This is the Hedron price. The Hedron price is below the ceiling price. People buy, it hits the ceiling price. Then it goes up. So now people are staking hex, minting that Hedron, and selling it for a profit. So because they're selling it, it's going down, 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 down until it hits that ceiling price again. Now, that's why it's called a ceiling, because anytime it goes up, people are economically incentivized to sell it back down. But the cool thing about what happens there is that hex is being locked up and people are taking advances on their HSIs. If people are taking advances on their HSIs just to profit off of that Hedron being advanced upon, then a certain percentage of them are probably going to default, leading to burnt Hedron on the liquid. We'll put them on the liquidation auction, leading it to burn Hedron, which generates Icosa yield, and the whole system is vitalized. Now, just because we're already on this tangent and we're already down this line of thought, let's see what moves the ceiling price. If we increase the main thing that moves the ceiling price is the T-share rate. So if we bring up the T-share rate, it goes up because it costs more money to get these B shares. And also, if we increase the hex price, say it's 10 cents, that also increases the ceiling price. So the ceiling price is naturally going up because of the T-share rate, and it's going up because of the hex price. But if the hex price goes down, then the ceiling price goes down. but the t-shirt rate always goes up. So there's always this let's go this way. There's always this upward pressure because of the t-shirt rate put on the ceiling price. All right. Do I think it'll be yeah, I do. Let's see. Now this is another part, another one of my calculators. So if you guys want to do all of this stuff yourself, it's all right here. But okay, what was it? Yeah, do I have? Okay, no, I have that for theoretical Icosa prices. I don't have it for Hedron, but we can do that calculation. So let's see, we're at 0.042. So, and these are all the t-shirt rates, current Hedron price. We're just gonna do that. So we want the Hedron price to be, what is it? 2 zeros and a 1. So actually, if we look here, the ceiling price, if we're at 10 cents, gets you to 3 zeros and a 1. So that means a tenth of a penny is probably around $1 at this current t-shirt rate, but probably by the time we're at $1, we're a little higher. But lower t-shirt rates are more conservative. So we're going to keep this t-shirt rate just to be conservative. So we are at at minimum, hex needs to be $1 for a tenth of a penny. And really, it's not $1. Let's do 90 cents. Let's do 80 cents. Let's do 70 cents. Yeah. At minimum, hex needs to be 70 cents for the current t-shirt rate for the price of Hedron to even have the possibility of being a tenth of a penny. Now, that's only if Hedron's at the ceiling price. If Hedron's not at the ceiling price, then at 70 cents, it's not going to be this price. So let's just go ahead and if we want it to be 80%, well, let's see. Let's say let's do $2. Now we're at 3/10 of a penny, and let's do 0.001 divided by that. Let's do that. Let's do that as a percent. Okay, so okay, there we go. So if the hex is at $2, let's say hex is at $2, we would have to be 67% away from the ceiling price in order to be at a tenth of a penny. Let's say hex is at $1.50. But we'd only need to be 57% away from the price. And let's say hex is $10. Well, then we'd only need to be, oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess this is we don't need to subtract the 1. We're only need to be 6% away of the price. Or no. If we were 93% down on the ceiling price at hex is at $10, then we were at a tenth of a penny. That's how it is. Sorry, I got that confused. At $2, if we are 67% down on the ceiling price, then we're at a tenth of a penny. So these are different ways you can use this calculator to see like what the potential hex price needs to be in order for Hedron to get at that certain price. Okay, sorry, I know that took a little bit of time, and I got a little confused there myself. Oh, Pierce, how many votes did I get? I got 1, 2. Oh, I got 3. Pierce voted for me twice. I appreciate it. Yes, alluvium. I like alluvium a lot. A little bit of Fancy Birds. I have some exposure to that, but GameFi in general, I like. I like Phantom. I don't own any currently. What else? Trying to think if there's anything else that I like. Spooky Swap is pretty cool. I have some of their Magic Cats, but I don't own any Boo Token. Mostly Alluvium. Alluvium is my big side bet outside of the Hex ecosystem. And obviously Ethereum, but that doesn't really count. So yeah, Alluvium, that's the one I recommend people to look into. And at some point, I'm probably going to be talking about it. Thank you again, Rick. I appreciate it. All right. No problem, QC. I have no idea. I can only calculate theoretical values based on prices, but like I like to see $2. Like $2 seems pretty reasonable to me. Do you need to have a hex stake to start minting Icosa? Where do you stake Icosa? Okay, yeah. So if you want to mint Hedron, yes, you do have to have a hex stake. Every single day that you have one B share, you get one Hedron. So one T share mints 1,000 Hedron per day. Now that's not a lot right now, but yeah, that's how you mint it. And then here I'm putting in the chat the app.icosa.pro, and then this is where you stake Icosa. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Will be yes, it will be possible. I don't know if if Alex finishes his front end and it's up and live and all of that, he'll probably have support on the side chain. So yeah, I would think that that's likely. Seems like you're gonna have to exceed Hedron ceiling for 3 to 4 separate transactions plus slippage plus risk of loss. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yeah. What's up, low sec hex? Not via the front end, but via it should be it is possible via the contract. Like you could do it yourself, but whether it be a friendly UI, potentially. What's up, Jawa? Good to see you, buddy. I can't give you a time frame, but can it get to 10? Yes, we talked. I pretty much just went through how to calculate that. So scroll back and then use my calculator, and then you can run through those numbers yourself. All right. Hey, what's up, Abit? I hope you're doing well, man. I had a good chat with Abit on his channel. Let me throw the link in here. And I believe we are scheduled to do a stream on my channel too. Let's see, ksb.tv. Yes. Yep. We're going to be talking on November 9th. Let me pull up the stream we did together, and I'll put that in the chat so everyone can go watch that. Yeah, we'll talk about the liquidation auctions, and honestly, I just have some questions. Just hang out with you, and if Hex Lion wants to pop on, he's also more than welcome. Hey, what's up, Daniel boy? You caught me live, buddy. Let's see what else. Okay, so we've reached the end of the chat. We're at an hour. We filled it. We filled an hour of time, so I think that's a good place to stop. So yeah, everybody, thank you so much for coming. There's like 100 of you in now, like an hour in. So I appreciate all of your viewership. Make sure to, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. If you haven't liked, go ahead and like. Oh, hey, what's up, Crypto Winter Bull? Good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. Go check out Crypto Winter Bull's channel too. He's makes some cool Hex Hedron Icosa content. Hey, you were not ignored, Jawa. I said hello. Oh, hey, Blue made it too. What's up? Oh man, now everybody's coming in towards the tail end. Yeah, if while I'm doing all of my sign out stuff, you have a question, pop it in. As long as I'm live, I will take questions. All right. Hey, thank you, Cat Doge. Okay, so yeah, subscribe, like, follow me on Twitter. Special shout out to Proof of Beard and Steak and Chill. They're the ones who did the animation, the new animation, as well as they produced the music for my intro. So big shout out to them. Let me drop Steak and Chill's channel is in the description below, but let me drop it in the chat too, so that you guys can all go give him a follow. Perfect. There we go. What else? Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you all for showing up. I do offer consultation services. So if you are interested in planning out strategies for the liquidation auction, you have questions about the Hex Icosa Hedron system that you want to use me as a sounding board, I do offer that service. I am running a 25% off discount up until the liquidation auctions begin. So DM me for that on Twitter. Private Discord with me, Silver the Antidote, and Access Alive is still going on and is live for November. So in the description below, go ahead and give a his name is Brennan, 0x Brennan. DM him. He is taking care of all of that organization. So the Discord is either $100 every 2 weeks or $200 for a month. You can choose whatever you want. But yeah, those are my services. Those are my links. That's everything that there is. Everybody, thank you so much for showing up and hanging out with me. I greatly appreciate it. I got some cool interviews lined up. KSB.TV, Abit, and I believe Hexline will be there too. Got something scheduled out with GIF. I'm going to be on Crypto Cabana show on Thursday to talk about the auctions with, I believe, Blue and Cryptographics is going to be there. And this Sunday, I'm going to be on RH Max's channel talking about the Hedron liquidation auctions too. So go ahead and make sure you tune into all of those. Tune into all of those streams. If you ever have any questions, don't feel free to ping me in any chat that you can find me in on Telegram, shoot me a Twitter DM, whatever it is. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great weekend. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.